one podcast I should listen to. Like, you tell me one podcast I should listen to. I'll tell you one podcast you should listen to.
Ooh. Tell me one you think I should listen to.
One podcast I think you should listen to. I low-key want to pull out my podcast app just to get some, because I feel like mostly you know the joints that I know. Like, you know Tim Ferriss joints, you know what's it called? You know Tom Bilyeu's joint. But let's see, a joint. Oh my God, I don't know why I did not mention this when we were talking about favorites and shit like that. The Great Debates. I don't think I've ever talked to y'all about this. The Great Debates is one of my favorite podcasts.
I guess this serves as what I should listen to. I don't know about
when we go back to, if we go back to funniest podcast, it's on that list. If we go back to favorite podcast, it's on that list.
You started listening to this? You've been listening to this?
Been listening to this. Listening to this.
It's
so low. It's so low, bro.
Like,
but basically, it's called The Great Debates. It's two guys debating like the dumbest of topics. You know what I'm saying? But they debate them. Remember, we tried to do a show called remember Me, You, Teresa did like a recording of a show called I remember what it was called, but it was like y'all were debating like topics. You know what I'm saying?
Teresa?
Yeah, you might not have remembered. It was vaguely remember. Yeah. But so like one of the topics is beer is better than wine, and then they gotta like argue, like one has to defend a side, whether they agree with the side or not. They gotta defend it. The other gotta, you know what I'm saying? Another joint is the alphabet is in the right order. Like, it's just like the stupidest topics that these niggas argue about, but it's so funny, bro. And a lot of people like send in these topics, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the guys that do it, so one of them, they're both TV writers. So one used to write for The Office, was a pretty big like writer. Like, he was like an executive producer for The Office. The other was an executive producer and writer for, you ever seen that show called Love on Netflix?
Yeah.
With Judd Apatow, or it's made by Judd Apatow, but yeah. So like he was on that, and they've been on other shows too. Those are just like two that come to mind. I think one was also a writer on Veep, but it's basically that. So like, and then they'll have like, fucking what's that dude's name? He be with Dave Chappelle a lot. He's John Mayer.
Okay.
You know John Mayer. He like guest debates on that show a bunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, he be on that show debating. The dude from The Office that played Ryan, BJ Novak, for people that know. You know what I'm saying? He be guesting on that show as well. But yeah, it's just funny as hell. They're just arguing about the stupidest shit, but it's funny, and that's the one that I would recommend you listen to.
I can't even tell you I got something for you, bro. I'm gonna have to dig in the crates for you.
Danielle's suggestions, while you think, is you're wrong about or sibling rivalry.
Okay.
Danielle got all the podcasts low key. She know all the podcasts, because these are joints that sound very, and to me, it's all about your name. Like, a podcast name goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes a long way.
The one she's been telling us, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, they're interesting names. I like this one, F Your Show, which she says in this one, the host made fantasy teams for various 90s things, like sitcoms, snacks, boy bands, old mall stores, and then listeners would vote on their favorite online afterwards. I like the idea of making a little fantasy team, because like there's definitely another
fantasy team
of like a different, subject or topic. That's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because I think there was another podcast out there where they like rank different joints. You know what I'm saying? Or not just rank them, but they like group them as like, or they put them in like a tournament type, like bracket style. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's, Family Matters versus fucking Full House. You know what I'm saying? Or some shit like that. And then they just like debate it or argue it. But yeah.
Early